Welcome back. My name is Mansur, reporting for All Israel News. Donald Trump have just announced that he wants to take over Greenland. That America needs Greenland for national security reasons. Now, the more that I digged into this, the more that I realized that he's not joking. So what I did here is I compiled several videos from different angles to give you different ways of looking at it, so you can hear both sides. Let's watch it and talk about it.
I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you. You know what Denmark did recently to boost up security in Greenland? They added one more dog sled. It's true. They thought that was a great move.
What would the justification be for a fleet to Greenland? What would the justification?
Oh, I don't want to talk about Greenland now. I just say this. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And the European Union needs us to have it, and they know it.
So President Trump says the US needs Greenland right now. And no doubt this is the map President Trump would like to see come about. Greenland has a population of 56,000, but it's the 12th largest territory in the world by land mass, although flat maps of the globe do make it look even bigger. And he says he needs Greenland for national security reasons. And since the 1950s, the US has had a military base on Greenland, strategically important, of course, because of its location between the US and its old foe, Russia. Crucially, it's also home to some of the world's largest reserves of rare earth minerals outside of China, vital for the tech, EV and defense industries where the US wants global dominance. 300 years ago, the Danes fancied Greenland's natural resources too and went looking for useful minerals as well, making it a Danish colony in 1721. So Greenland has been Danish longer than the United States has even existed.
Because some Vikings
but
got
the
there.
relationship has evolved. Greenland voted for self-government in 2008, although with foreign policy and defense still controlled by Denmark. So it is Danish sovereign
Because
territory.
of some Vikings
What
got there
about
and
NATO
did some
then?
weird stuff.
Denmark is in NATO, so is the US. And Article 5 of NATO means an attack on one is supposed to be treated as an attack on all. But when the aggressor is the dominant member of NATO itself, well, the Danish Prime Minister makes the point that NATO would probably fall apart. And has anyone actually asked the people of Greenland what they want? 93% of Greenlanders voted for independence parties in March elections, the winning party favouring a more gradual than rapid journey to independence from Denmark. So they want to control themselves when the time is right. As for the US, one poll in January showed 85% of Greenlanders reject becoming part of the United States. Well, reports today suggest Mr. Trump is planning to go over Denmark and the EU's head, offer Greenlanders continued self-government, but with the US in charge of defense, and also promises of economic enrichment. But his advisors have also not ruled out military intervention, meaning the fate of Greenland could yet decide the future of NATO, as well as the West as we know it.
Europe is learning a hard lesson that it's not enough to be a pretty face. You need to actually be able to take care of yourself. Otherwise, the big boys will come and do whatever they want with you. And I mean, what can Europe do? They have Russia on one side. They had radical jihadist Islam that is taking them over from within. And then they have America coming and saying, now, we're going to take that. What can they do? Now, here is this. This is an interesting point also. Let's hear it together.
There is obviously one member of the administration that we know has been very vocal in his support of taking over Greenland, and that is the president's top aide, Stephen Miller, who also has been ramping up his rhetoric since this weekend's military operation in Venezuela. I want to play just a little part of that for you.
We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security.
For the United States to secure the Arctic region, to protect and defend NATO and NATO interests, obviously Greenland should be part of the United States.
So this is clearly an argument that they're making, that this is in the interest of U.S. national security. If you had a chance to have a conversation with Stephen Miller, what would you say to him?
Hear it out.
It's very hard to argue with people who have so little knowledge and apparently are so oblivion to the history of Greenland. US
Drop the
have
smart,
had
guys.
chance to have
Europe,
all the
just
military
stop
capabilities they want on Greenland
patronizing.
for more than 70 years.
Just give an answer.
But over the time since the Cold War, they have closed down more than 30 military installations and bases in Greenland, only keeping one left. So if the US assessment in reality is that they lack military capabilities in Greenland, I think the first question you should answer, you should answer as an advisor to the president is, why did you leave those 30 bases then? You were there, you decided that you didn't need to be there, and now you complain that you don't have military presence anymore. You can resume that tomorrow without attacking a NATO ally, without infringing on a friendly country like the Kingdom of Denmark and a long-standing ally. So simply the rationale behind this lack both factual foundation, but also doesn't stand any logic testing, because there is already a treaty between the Kingdom of Denmark and the US allowing US military presence there as part of NATO defense.
Breaking news in the White House saying Tuesday that President Trump is viewing acquiring Greenland as a national security priority and that the use of the U.S. military remains an option as his administration weighs how to pursue
We're talking about America invading basically
Edward Lawrence
Europe.
with this. And of course, utilizing the U.S. military is always an option as the commander-in-chief's disposal. Weighing a range of options, these comments mark the clearest statement to date from the White House, suggesting that military force could be considered. We did get a statement in from leaders of a number of European leaders and Canada. They rallied behind Greenland earlier today. And just to be clear, this statement, I believe, came out before Caroline Leavitt's statement. It reads as such: Arctic security remains a key priority for Europe, and it is critical for international and transatlantic security.
You can't trust Europe about security. They have no clue.
Is a priority, and European allies are stepping up.
Europe have no clue about security. No clue. Like zero. I'm here. I live here. I come from security background. Zero.
The Kingdom of Denmark.
Minus.
Greenland
Europe is actually minus degrees about security.
In the Arctic must
they're
therefore be
suicidal.
achieved collectively, in conjunction with NATO allies, including the United States, by upholding the principles of the UN Charter, including sovereignty, territorial integrity, and the inviolability of borders. These are universal principles, and we will not stop defending them.
They're not defending anything.
The United States is an essential partner in this endeavor, and as a NATO ally, and through the defense agreement between the Kingdom of Denmark and the United States of 1951, Greenland belongs to its people. It is for Denmark and Greenland, and them only, to decide on matters concerning Denmark and Greenland.
Maybe it's for the Greenland people to decide.
Leaders of France,
Let's leave it that way.
Germany, Italy, Poland, Spain, and Denmark.
Europe have no idea about security. Not only that they have no idea, they're literally self-harming themselves. And Europe have created this vacuum. This is on Europe. They have created this vacuum that someone is going to enter and take it. Either it's going to be Russia, China, Islamic Jihad, or America. They literally have been drinking latte macchiato and sipping glasses of wine as they go and bash America and bash the West and encourage jihadists and communism to come and take them from within. They have no idea how to defend themselves. They have no idea what they want. And look what's happening. Now, let's hear what some of the people of Greenland have to say. Now, of course, this guy might have not represent all of the people in Greenland, but it's definitely a voice that is coming out of there. And I heard several of these voices.
We have the highest suicide rate in the world, and crime and the poverty among the people. Even with the same with Kingdom of Denmark. If you go to Denmark, this is one of the 5 richest countries in the world. But if you go to Greenland, it's another situation. So people are tired of that. That's why the Danish politician and the elite in Greenland are very afraid to lose control for what they have. Right now, it's Trump's interest is very good for
Free Greenland. That's the shirt.
Recognized as a people in Greenland. We are forced to be Danish citizens, and this have to be reminder for Keir Starmer from Greenland as an Inuit. We are not recognized people, and please, European, just leave us alone. We want to work with the Americans. The European has been working with the American in 80 years, so it's now our time and turn.
Ooh. Powerful words, huh? Now, let's see a little bit, why does Greenland all of a sudden so attractive? It's not all of a sudden, but let's see it.
Why is the president so interested in the vast Arctic island? We have some answers by the numbers. First, a little context. Greenland is a former Danish colony and now a semi-autonomous territory of Denmark. It's the world's least densely populated country, so remote, in fact, that its 56,000 residents travel by boat, helicopter, and plane between its towns. One major reason the president and real estate developer is so interested: location, location, location. 2/3 of the island lies within the Arctic Circle, where major powers are competing for influence as melting ice opens new shipping routes and military corridors. Control of Greenland would give the U.S. a big strategic advantage. There are rich resources under that ice. According to one study, 31 of 34 minerals defined as critical are found on the island. These minerals are essential for technologies like electric vehicles, batteries, and smartphones. China currently dominates this market, adding to Greenland's appeal. Trump's interest in the island isn't new, though. He first floated buying it back in 2019, but Greenland has been valuable to the U.S. since the Cold War era, with President Harry Truman offering to buy it in 1946 for $100 million in gold, a proposal the Danes declined. Greenland insists it's still not for sale, and taking it by force could mean the end of NATO. Both the U.S. and Denmark are members, and Article 5 of the treaty declares that an attack against one member state is an attack against them all.
Greenland, how far?
She forgot to add alien technology. Alien technology, lost civilization. Who knows what's laying there under the ice? It's all melting. Jokes aside, guys, Greenland is a big prize. And Greenland falling into the hands of America will undoubtedly make America way stronger, especially now that they got Venezuela, and will make America's enemies weaker. Economically weaker, influentially weaker, and it will change the whole geopolitics scene in the world. Now, as a rule of thumb, I'm always pro-America becoming stronger and the enemies of America becoming weaker, because we are all on Team America's side. The whole entire Team West is on Team America. Not only that we're on Team America, America is the one that keep us safe and that give us the life that we have in the Western Hemisphere. So, with that said, it's still a very controversial issue. Very controversial issue. So let's hear it right now. What does J.D. Vance have to say
How
about it?
far are you guys willing to go?
Well, the president is going to make the ultimate determination here, but there's been a lot of bellyaching from Europe, and Europe has failed to contend with the fundamental argument the president and the entire administration has made. Greenland is critical, not just to our national security, but to the world's national security. People don't realize this. The entire missile defense infrastructure is partially dependent on Greenland. If, God forbid, the Russians or the Chinese, not saying they're going to, but if, God forbid, in the future, somebody launched a nuclear missile into our continent, they launched a nuclear missile at Europe, Greenland is a critical part of that missile defense. So you ask yourself,
well, Greenland is part of NATO.
Have the Danes done a proper job of securing Greenland and making sure it can continue to serve as an anchor for world security and missile defense? And the answer is obviously they haven't. They've underinvested in their security. They haven't done a good job of securing that area, that landmass. And what I hear them say is they'll always make an argument about the past. They'll say, well, we fought together in World War II, or we fought together in the war on terrorism. And we're grateful for that. We love having these allies, but just because you did something smart 25 years ago doesn't mean you can't do something dumb now. And the President of the United States is saying very clearly, you are not doing a good job with respect to Greenland. We're going to make sure we defend America's interests. And I think the President's willing to go as far as he has to make sure he does that.
They're saying it's too cold for American soldiers to handle.
Yeah. That's a good point, but you know what? It's an excuse. No one is stopping America right now from putting any kind of military equipment that they want on Greenland. They actually had it in the past and they took it away. So let's just be real about it. Let's be honest. I know people are running around, kicking around the bush. Let's just be honest about the reason. But hear this response from European leaders.
If you take it, we take every single base of the Americans, from Aviano to Ramstein, from Romania to all the other military bases, will be confiscated and you will lose it. And the whole position of American power since World War II, if you take Greenland, you have to leave. It's very simple, Mrs. Miller.
And then Russia will come in.
This is the leverage we have. You need this basis for global power protection. You won't have it. and we can defend ourselves very well, and we will do that without the US nuclear shield, without the US.
I live in Europe, guys. You can't defend yourself.
American bases. We will simply run these bases ourselves, and we
I
run
wish you
the boys
could.
home into Chicago, and Ohio. And goodbye. If you go extreme, we go extreme as well. Be sure about it.
Let's see who loses from that more.
With a brain must agree that if he helps himself to NATO territory, NATO-supported territory, and NATO is unable to resist, then NATO is over. What does that mean? If he wants to do it, there's nothing we can do. What is the likelihood of German, French and British troops turning up in Greenland and taking aim at Americans?
Literally
if
zero.
there is not international law, if there are not rules-based institutions, if there are not supranational security, then there is nothing.
It's
there
a big
is
wake-up
simply
call for you.
Genghis Khan. There is Hitler. There is Stalin. There are simply leaders driven entirely by rapacious greed and territorial ambition. Here's what's going to happen, probably. A build-up of troops on Greenland, starting at the base that they currently have, where the United States flag flies currently alongside the Danish flag. At some point, the Danish flag comes down. The number of troops on Greenland becomes close to the number of people living there. And at some point on that graph, it will be too late to do anything about it. Pains
Very
me
possible.
to say to you, I think we're probably looking that prospect squarely in the face.
Very possible. Very possible. He brought a really good point. Sorry, Europe, you can't just stay a pretty face. You need to really up your game. People have been telling you that for a very long time. But I live here in Europe, and I'm among the Europeans, or at least the Germans. And most of them, I don't think they can bear arms. I don't think most of them even understand what it means to defend themselves. They love to hate America. They love to hate the West, a lot of them, and believe all kind of, feel-good, half-baked intellectual conspiracies. But they don't know what is keeping them, Germans, what is keeping them a democracy. And they're definitely not ready to defend it. Maybe the young generation would be. Maybe, again, the Gen Z that they like to laugh about, the one that plays computer games, Fortnite and Call of Duty and Battlefield, maybe they will be willing to defend this country and to defend Europe. Who knows? Maybe they're getting fed up with the European blind sight of what is happening in the world.